banner pace for us right now. Let's see if we can pick that up with the Houston Rockets. I have so many questions about the Houston Rockets, but I decided to focus on Alperen Sengun, and I kind of just want to know why, why don't they play through him more? And also, will he continue to start once Bruno Fernando is healthy? We had someone ask, I don't have it with me in the Discord. I bookmarked it for a future mailbag. Actually asked, like, can you investigate why they don't want to start him or why they think that's the right call? He has been, Jalen Green is their most important player long term. Alperen Sengun is their best player right now. And the numbers for him are just absolutely through the roof this year. And he's doing it in, even again, he's starting now, and his minutes compared to last year are up. He's still just not playing enough. And he's at 16.1 points, 1.9 assists, shooting 62.6% on twos. The fact that what's really weird about his case this year is he's such a great passer, but he has more turnovers than assists. I think a lot of that is playing time noise, the team that he plays for. When you dig into his game, though, he's averaging 4.1 elbow touches. That's like fewer than Brandon Clark right now. It's still higher relative to the league average, but he's good. Like, let him facilitate from the elbows. He's at like 4.3. He's finishing anyway, 3.4 post ups per game. He's averaging 1.17 points per post up possession right now. The Rockets as an offensive team are at 1.08 overall. So an Alperen Sengun post up might be your most efficient offense right now anyway. He's shooting 63% on them. Will he stick in the starting five? I think that he just should. And is it time to change the starting five overall, even beyond having him in there? I know I'm not saying bench Jabari Smith Jr. because you're concerned about them long term, but it's like, do you need to start KPJ with Jalen Green? And I know some people might think it's a rush to put KPJ off the bench, but it's just like that lineup, their starting lineups are getting absolutely like hammered. And this team is, first of all, it's not good. It's 2-12. It's not good. And I understand it's not necessarily built to be good, but when you look at the Rockets, there's just not really a discernible identity to me there. You have Jalen Green's incredible speed, which he doesn't seem to know how to really slow down at sometimes. His ridiculous shot making. There are times where I feel like they let Jabari Smith Jr. do too much. He should be more of a play finisher. And then yet you're not letting Alperen Sengun do enough. And then it's like, if you're not going to slow things down, and this, by the way, maybe I would argue or not argue this as passionately, let's say, if they had like a floor general on the roster. They don't. Like, you've decided that KPJ or Jalen Green, like, those are the guys that you're going to develop in that context. I think that's also unfair to both of them. I don't think they're those players. And we've seen like lots of flashes from Jalen Green for sure, but he's not the slow it down orchestrate. Like, he doesn't seem to know how to operate on any other speed other than 11. And then just sort of finally here, if you're not going to play the way of slow it down, like, okay, well then why can't this team actually play fast? They're like semi slow is the best way for me to classify them. It's like, why can't you push the pace more after grabbing a defensive rebound? It's like Jalen Green sometimes wants to slow it down and then uptick it in the half court, which, yeah, there can be a benefit to a lot of the time, but it's so confusing to me. And I don't want to focus on, because we've talked about it, what I feel is like an overall lack of identity. And like, you look at the personnel on this roster, it's like, okay, well, why are they 26th in average possession time after grabbing a defensive board? If they're not playing throughout for Sengun. But the Sengun stuff is, can they like rely on him more when it's not even just play. He should play as many minutes as you can get from him, but like, can you rely on him more when he's on the court?
Yeah, I think anytime there's lots of reasons for this. When a team just isn't playing as fast as you think it should, and there's different ways to measure it. If you're talking about actual length of offensive possession versus like transition frequency, those are two pretty different stats that are affected by a lot of different variables that don't necessarily overlap. But I think a lot of times, so a team like the Rockets, that you said it, like, their primary ball handlers are Jalen Green and KPJ. And I don't think of either of those guys as having the experience or like intuition really at this stage to sort of make the quick decisions and the quick one pass reads where, oh, this defender is 3 steps this way when he should be there. And if I pass it here, this generates us a shot, like, within either right away or another pass away. Like, that's just that's just seeing, you hear guys talk about just seeing the pictures all the time. You need to see enough pictures to sort of recognize patterns and know if the floor looks like this and I go here or throw it there, this is what's going to happen. And that's just like, that's inexperience. So, but to your point, Sengun is someone that, like, look, the Rockets win his minutes, like, which is wild. They're plus 2.9 with him on the floor, and all of that's offense because the defense goes in the tank. So this is not new to anyone who's aware of the scouting report on him, going back to pre-draft. He's a really gifted offensive big, and the post-up numbers are really impressive. He makes a ton of shots this year, which is a big difference in like the just, that weird, awkward floater, long hook, 3 to 10 foot range. He's making like 60 something % of those shots this year, which is no way to live, but it's indicative of his skill. I think it's just inexperience. Like, I watched some of the Clippers Rockets game just on Monday night, and Jalen Green used a Euro step, and the broadcast was like made a point of saying, that's unusual. So that's just, he doesn't have the craft yet. He doesn't slow down. You're right. And Sengun on a post up, he's a good post up player. Zubac just pulled the chair. Just the classic, like he got one shoulder bump. He knew Sengun was coming with a second one, moved out of the way, turnover. So I think a lot of it is the Rockets just need to be willing to live with Sengun turning the ball over. I think, there's all these stats about young point guards that one indicator of a guy potentially being a really good point guard down the line is he turns it over a lot as a rookie because he's like trying stuff. He sees things and he's trying stuff. So I'm not bothered by the more turnovers than assists. I think he should play a ton. I think they should run it through him almost everywhere, because what's Jalen Green's like best attribute? It's just he's fast. He's really fast. So just have him get a running start and play some handoff game and just let those two guys figure it out. I think Sengun is, I'm not the biggest Domas Sabonis fan, but like there's a lot of that in him. And I think maybe not the brute strength, but like you can run an offense through a guy like that. I think the Rockets might want to consider that a little more.
I do wonder if they have to change the lineup context in which he plays sometimes, though. And that leads me, I'm going to wrap up with this. 50 post-ups per Sengun this year so far. That's per NBA.com. I honestly thought it was more, but 50 post-ups for Alperen Sengun. How many assists does he have, if you had to ballpark a number?
On 50 post-up? It can't be high because his per game is like 1.9. I'm going to say like 7.
0.
Oh, hey, cut, guys. Somebody cut. That's in pickup where the big guy's really pissed off that no one's cutting and he's got nowhere to go.
He's passing on 24% of his post-ups. He has 4 turnovers against 0 assists. I went and looked that up because I was like, when I was going through, I was like, there's like something feels off here. And 0. I felt like that number was wrong, but I was like, well, that's also might be right. It might be right.
That's damning of everyone but him, because I'm going to go pro Sengun big time on this. Those guys need to cut or make themselves available for spot ups. And then the coaching staff has got to install something where like it's not just 4 other dudes looking at him trying to post up Zubats and getting the chair pulled. Like that's not going to work.
Yeah, I wanted to save that for the end because it was just so baffling to me.
Unbelievable. All right.